365 Days of Horsemanship, day 133. It's kind of nice to be back in the car. Like, I know it's not the best backdrop, but it's sort of nice. I haven't been in the car for ages. It's super rainy today, and yeah, I just didn't want to do it outside because the weather's not that great. But I was really happy because I came up anyway. And today was one of those days where I had a slot in the morning. And so I made coming up for the horses my first priority. I definitely am learning a lot at the moment how to focus better, because I'm like a magpie. I get so distracted so easily. I'm like, oh, I'll just do that before I go, and I'll just do this, and I'll just do this, and I'll just do this. And I'm just really cultivating at the moment, like learning how to just say, put it on the shelf. You can do it when you come back. And yeah, so I managed to get out of bed, make breakfast, get dressed, came for horses. And Mia is doing really well. She is pretty sound. She is as sound as to be expected, quite stiff, but her movement's pretty good. So she is ready to start doing some walking work. And the plan is basically that we're going to walk her for the next month or so, try to get her fit, and see basically if she breaks, which is a, really harsh way of saying it, but it's one of those things where at some point you sort of have to push forward with rehabilitation, because otherwise you lose so much sort of functionality that causes its own problems, and stops the injury from healing itself anyway. So that was kind of exciting. I came up, I was quite nervous on the approach because it's raining today, and the weather's not that great, and she also had a little session yesterday, and I just was kind of like, I brought the halter with me, and I'm like, well, I wanted to bring her up and walk her, but like, what do I do if she doesn't want to come? Like, that's going to be a huge change for me in the way that I'm managing her and the way that I'm interacting with her, to suddenly be like, well, today we have a job and we're going to go do it. And as I was approaching, she was actually facing me because her and Moondust were sort of sheltering behind the hedge. The rain was like heavy, but not like a downpour. And as I approached, I sort of stopped every now and again when she would like make a little focus change or a little movement. Oh, and I would keep walking towards her. And actually, just as I was coming to the fence, she started coming up to meet me, which was really great. And she was really, I would say, almost like pushy about the halter, which I don't know if it's luck or if it's the weather or if she's just frustrated or she's hungry or what it is. But today, it was good. I was able to put the halter on easily. So I put the halter on. I brought Moondust up with me because I didn't want to leave him on his own because it's just the two of them. So I brought them up together and walked her in the arena. And I just walked her slightly off the track, because if I walk her right on the edge by the wall, there's like long grass that is just at the edges. And then she's like pulling and trying to get the grass, which is like super annoying and just creates more conversations than we're ready for at the moment. So I had her about a meter off, just making, just walking the fence in the arena. And it was quite interesting, actually. I think I was trying to, set the pace and set the tone. The day before, I'd brought her up with Larissa, and I'd been really relaxed about the way that she'd walked, and I'd let her wander off over here to sniff this and over there to do that and whatever. And actually today, because I had the two of them, I really needed her to be like right by my shoulder consistently, when I was bringing them up. And I sort of realized as I was walking that actually it's not really very fair of me to be inconsistent in that way, and that actually if I want her to be by my shoulder sometimes when I'm leading her, then I should want her to be by my shoulder all the time when I'm leading her, because then she knows what's needed. And it's difficult because it sort of goes against my like freedom mindset. But I also think it's just about having a level of, I guess, balance and compromise. So it's not like the extreme of one or like the extreme of another, to help her to learn the situations where it's okay to look and to wonder, and the situations when it's not. I also think it's about when we're in a training mindset, or when we're in a learning mindset, we've not got to where we want to be yet with a task or with an idea, then I think it also needs more consistency, because like you're training something, and then afterwards then it's okay to relax a little bit, but initially it's sort of about just building that pattern of understanding, that pattern of behavior, that when this is happening, this is the expectation, this is how we do this. So I brought her up, and I had Moondust out at Liberty, and initially he like trotted off, and she was like, whoa, and there was sort of a moment, and I was thinking, oh, is this going to work out? But actually it worked out really well. And we were just walking around the track, and yeah, just really trying to be the leader and be in my own body, just walking, and then kind of expecting her to come along with me. And then I noticed after some time that there were points where she would want to stop. Like, she wants to stop by the gate at the front, she wants to stop and sniff the jumping wing, and she wants to stop over here and look at the herd. So after a while I tried to stop before those places, like literally just before, because I'm thinking about this mindset of like wanting to show her that I know what I understand, or that I'm making good decisions. And I kind of want to carry that forward, even though I was playing in more of a dominant space today. I had the halter on, we'd come to the arena. There was extrinsic motivators and a fence for her to, get trapped against. I still wanted to use these same principles of like sort of proving to her that I can make good decisions and building that trust. It went really well. I think it's one of those things where there were lots of things to work on. I noticed that she's super distracted. And so I think it's just one of those things where we've just got to get on the pattern as much as we can. It's not going to probably be every day, because some days I won't have that much time. Some days, she really might not want to come. And I'll have to work out how I deal with that, I guess, on those days. But it was good. Excuse me. It was really good. It was, yeah, it was really good. It felt like a good start to something. It had really good energy. I took her back, no problems, and went to go see Lawrence. And with Lawrence, it was interesting as well, because I definitely was in this space of like, I wanted something. I wanted him to walk, because I knew that, in the rain, that he's going to be cold and he's just going to tuck up and stand there. And that's not so great for his body, especially at his age. And so I wanted to walk. And so I ended up playing this really interesting game where I was walking in supportive leadership, and then he would come over and sort of catch me and then immediately ask me to scratch him. And I definitely am trying to slightly soften the demand for scratching at the moment. And oh my goodness, excuse me. Something about when I'm in the car, I think I yawn even more. Crazy. I think it's also processing, like horses yawn when they're processing stuff. Like, I think it's the same thing. Just using so much of my brain to think about everything. Yeah. So he would come over and he would ask for some scratches, and I would kind of like walk past, try to find a place of flow to offer him instead for a couple of breaths, and then I'd start moving again. And sometimes I would try to come up if I could see where he was going to ask me, and I could get to scratch him before he got like too much. Then I would scratch him a little bit, and then when it felt good, then I would walk. so it was a really interesting game. And what I definitely think was it was like a lot going on, and I was walking quite a lot. And I did feel like he ended up walking quite a lot, and he was starting to get it that he could walk with me and we could walk together. We had some nice moments of walking together and some nice moments of kind of him turning and like me kind of like yielding to him. Excuse me. Me kind of yielding to him, which was fun. And just generally we just moved about, which was great, because it was one of those things where I'd come in and initially I'd been quite direct line in my thinking, like, well, I want him to move. Like, how am I going to get him to move? Like, how am I going to get him to walk? And I almost went for the halter, because I had the halter with me on the fence because I'd used it for Mia. And I initially, like, I even unhooked the gate to like maybe go and get it. And I thought, I'm not sure if this is the right choice. And I thought, well, how do I decide? And I thought, well, I'm going to go walk until I've thought about it. And so I just started walking while I was thinking. I'm like, I'm just going to walk while I think about what I want to do, because I can always go back and get the halter after I've walked for a bit. And after I started walking, I had this other idea. And so it was great, because it just felt like I could just let everything else fall away. And my idea of how we should move just fell away. And it was like, well, as long as he's moving, that's better than standing still. So what's like 100 ways just to get him to like move? Like, and I say move his feet, it's like, well, how, like you think of like, you know, pointing and sticking and going and, you know, all that stuff. But it's like, well, no, like actually literally, how do I get him to move his feet? And it's like, well, I'm walking around, I'm trying to find a good place. Then he'll come up to find me. I want to slightly reward him for having moved his feet. So it's like, I'll either scratch him if I can, if he's not come up with too much concern, or if he come up with too much concern, then I'll walk past him and try to find a good place of flow as soon as I can, that I can just stand there with him. And it just felt good. It felt good. We had a nice moment where he came up and caught me, and then we were able to look out together at the herd, and he had this nice moment of focus on another herd. I guess it's the environment, and on a different herd. And a nice look and chew, and I thought, oh, that's a really nice moment to end it on, because that's the first time his focus hasn't been about self, as in itching, leader, as in can my leader help me, or focus on just like concern. Basically, it was like a nice category change to something that he hadn't really thought about before. And so it was one of those really nice moments as well, because I think I'm starting to learn what it feels like to leave at the right moment. Today, I definitely left at the right moment. We had this lovely moment. We breathed. We had a breath together. I was thinking, I should leave now, because in a minute, he's going to ask me for something, and that's a bad moment to leave. So I leave, and I hear him sigh, and then I hear him walk towards the herd. And it was perfect, because it was like, we'd had this nice moment together. I decided to leave. He'd gone, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's go. And it just felt like it was a wonderful, like natural ending to the session, where his energy was distracted somewhere else and he was off and he felt good. And I felt that I had ended on a good note. Him and his herd went right up to the back. And him and Harry played together for a little bit, which was lovely. It was lovely to see him play, and they were sort of jumping and, you know, they were trotting and cantering around, and so that was really nice as well, just to feel like that he was moving around a little bit. It was just a super nice place to leave it. So yeah, really happy with today. I think it went really well. And yeah, looking forward to seeing what happens tomorrow.